Hey guys, welcome back to another 5-minute flash update. If you're liking our content, please give us a like, subscribe, and share the content with your friends. You also might be interested in joining our free course, which is in the link below, and potentially joining our Facebook community, Crypto Paradox. Okay, let's get stuck into the charts. At the moment, we are looking at SPX on the ES Mini, which is CME, and we're sitting on the trend line, which is the most outside trend line from the very bottom of the bear market put in on the CPI date of 13th of October. Now, there's this really big liquidity pool down here that is waiting to be swept from all the people who, bought their stocks in here and up through here and also here. A lot of them would have been using this area here as the place to put their stop loss or liquidation point if they're using higher leverage. So at the moment, we've come back to retest this trend line, and we're putting in the possibility of a Morningstar reversal off that trend line. There's also a weekly order block here as well, which has the potential to bounce price and push us back up as well. Now, we did have the Fed meeting minutes come in yesterday, and it came out that 2 of the Federal Reserve members were pushing for a 50-point rise. Everyone else was pushing for 25. And there's a bit of, fear around at the moment that potentially in the next meeting, which is at the end of March, March 22nd, I'm pretty sure you can check that for yourself. So that they might have to do a 50 basis point hike, which the market hasn't really finished pricing in yet. And that would send yields higher, DXY higher, and assets probably down. So there's been a little bit of a repricing of that with this sell-off through here. And we really just have to see, is this trend line through here going to break? Because, typically when we've been breaking these downtrend lines in this bear market, anyway, it has gotten pretty dumpy. And I could see, we get a break of this trend line, get underneath this weekly order block, and something like this happens, come down, sweep this low, and maybe we put in a new low through here, right? So this becomes our significant higher low, right? So there's a low here. This is sort of like a mid rally pullback. I wouldn't say that this is a full cycle. So, if we're going to follow Bob Lucas's cycle theory, then this would have been a right translated cycle. So this has been one full cycle of 16 weeks up, and then we're looking to see how many weeks it pulls back before we get the bottom. But we should have around the 24-week mark where it finds its bottom. So that would be our first right translated cycle, and that would put us in the position to flip into an uptrend. To be honest, though, I could see us coming back deeper as well if this does get bearish and, the next couple of CPI prints are higher than expected and it's not coming down. So it's obvious the Fed is going to have to hike further. Then, yes, we can start to look at, potentially making lower lows in around, the 3,000 mark up to maybe like the 3,300 area. There's some really nice levels, right? And this level here, the previous all-time high at 3,400. So those are the downside targets if this does collapse. But at the moment, it's looking like it wants to hold on. So let's just see how this plays out and not to try to focus too much on the longer term stuff. But hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. And I do think if this makes a higher low through here and then we get, the next cycle swing up, I want to see it take out this level through here. And then obviously the next high at 4,300. And that sort of would be the real trigger for, okay, bear market's probably over now and we're moving back into a bull market again, right? And the target would be the previous all-time highs, etc. But at the moment, we could get a rally off here short term. I don't know how long this is going to hold for, this rally, or if it's even going to play out. But if we do get a Morningstar reversal of this trend line and bounce out of this weekly order block, I think cryptos are going to rally really hard. Even just this morning, cryptos have bounced really hard just based off this price action of a potential reversal. I'm going to check out a whole heap in a second. But what I want to see for upside continuation is us to clear this daily block just up here, this one, right, in the key level that I've got put in, which is pretty much the range low for this area, this previous distribution range, right? If we can reclaim and get back above there, so we do something like this, right? If we can reclaim, get back above there, right, I would be looking for this to continue on forward, right? Continue on higher. So basically we want to reclaim 4,090 for potential further upside, right? So Ethereum looking really nice this morning. So we've just done the same thing again, right? So we've got a range in here, broke below the range, nice Morningstar reversal on the 4 hour, and just pumped really hard ever since after the daily close. And it's pretty much the same thing again and again, right? So we have this parallel channel through here, right? Whoops. Right, so this is our trading range. You're at deviation above the range, 3 touches, so pretty much 3 highs through there, break down to the low of the range, right? Sweep the low of the range, deviation range low, reclaim that, and then pump to the top of the range again, right? And then now we've just done the same thing on the smaller time frames through here, right? Or a bit of a tighter range, broke below that, and then reclaim and pushing. Obviously, BTC has done the same thing. This is something I was just drawing up earlier. If SPX does end up having that big pullback that we were just talking about before and retesting the lows, I think some sort of price action like this on BTC, and then we get a huge investor in shoulders, and then that would definitely put the bottom in. But that's not locked in. That is for sure. And this could, I think it's going to depend on what the weekly here ends up doing. If this weekly closes red and below here, then, that's going to be a rejection of this weekly high. And I would be expecting, a pullback and to retest these lows. And the key levels I'm looking for on BTC to hold, if SPX does have that pullback to sweep that liquidity zone we're looking at just before, I'd be looking for, the same levels we were looking for last time we had a pullback, 2,900 and then potentially 19,000. It would be really beautiful to come back and retest 1,900. Everyone's freaking out, shitting their bed. We're going to go retest 16K or something like that again. And we end up just doing this, bouncing off it a couple of times, chop around, another accumulation range through here, and then it takes off. And then we finally get that rally back into this previous range, up here, right? And then that'll be the show. And then I'm thinking the top of the range will probably be around this 48 sort of area, and then we're going to reaccumulation for a while. But on the lower time frames, as you can see here, very similar to Ethereum, we came down into this 4-hour order block, right? Really nice Morningstar reversal setup. So that was a clean long for me every day of the week. So we've got the order block through here at the range low, and Morningstar reversal into that. So easy long back up to the previous high of the previous range, right? From back here. Okay, so altcoins that I'm looking at the moment, Illuvium is looking all right. That daily pin bar through there, so took a position on that, stop loss underneath there, because if the market does continue to move up, these are going to break out. I could also wait for this to break out from this downtrend through here, and that's sort of like, your flag pattern into a bump and run reversal type setup, so you usually get something like that. Right. Move is also another one that had a really nice support and resistance flip of the range low. So selling climax down here, retest there. So support, resistance, resistance, resistance. Now it's sort of holding as support. But we do need to see this push back up, and this ultimately should form some sort of a flag type pattern now. And then when that breaks out, you get that bump and run reversal type. Gala, not one of the greatest looking ones, but I mean, it's just going to follow the rest of the market. It has sort of underperformed on this last rally. Most things are back up around the top of its previous range. So a little bit of weakness there. Might be a decent one to short if we do collapse, because it's showing relative weakness compared to the rest of the market. Aave is one that's looking really good because it's still in its accumulation zone through here, right? And I would say that this is most likely, Wyckoff theory, like the jump across the creek, and now in the bull flag. So this is sort of like bearish price action, with your automatic rally, which is just a big rising wedge. Now this is bull flag pattern, right? So bullish patterns, the bull flag here, looking a lot better. We call this a sign of strength. And then we would want to see it break out from this high and push through to range highs, right? And then eventually it either gets rejected off the top of the range high like this, and then we would take profit or get short on that for a potential pullback to the middle of the range, or range low for a spring if it's going to go on for a lot longer. or it pops out the top and does another flag like this, and then that moves straight into the markup, which some altcoins are already in the phase of doing. I'm going to show you one example of that, which is DXDY, broke out of the trading range. Now it's sort of doing that flag pattern, which is a sign of strength before it moves into its markup, right? And I'll show you an example of one that has done that before. Need to get old charts up. Right, so this is a really old one, Bittrex Cardano, but this is a bit of an example of how they sort of look, right? Right, so that's your accumulation range. This is, your first sign of strength, second sign of strength. You could even argue that this is either a range high or mid-range, right? And then you have your second one. So sign of strength, and then after that, it just really launches and takes off. So yeah, something to think about how these ranges sort of play out. Link is another one that's in the middle of its range still at the moment. Just support resistance flipped its flag pattern through here. So that's looking pretty nice. And it seems to be outperforming a fair few of the other altcoins at the moment as well on this little move up. So that looks really clean to me. This level as well, it's sort of flipped. Right, with a really nice bull hammer and pushing up for the Morningstar reversal. So this is probably going to run to range highs soon, and we'll see what it does there. But it's the same deal. Right? It's either going to get out and you do that flag pattern at the top of the range before it moves into markup, or it gets rejected from the range highs like this, and it ends up being another one of these, right? So yeah, keep looking for altcoins that look like this, guys, because those are going to be the ones that you can build like really strong, longer term positional setups for. This one isn't the greatest, still below here, so it's sort of underperforming a fair bit. KDA, WMT, World Mobile Token, was one of the ones that we were looking at in the Facebook group. Pretty nice little movement here at the moment. I think once it breaks this downtrend flag pattern through here, it's going to really take off and launch. So it's a little KuCoin gem. So yeah, keep your eyes on that one. I had a bunch more, but for some reason I've lost them. Here we go. FXS is, same sort of thing. So we've got the accumulation range, pump into flag, and this looks like it probably wants to break out of here soonish. And I think the next area of resistance is probably going to be through here at 17. So it's a decent little move up to there, about a 60, maybe 50% move. Mina as well is one that's not looking too bad. Nice level through here, sort of support resistance flipping off that. So this is the high resistance coming back. So if it can hold that and continue to push for the rest of the day and get a strong close, I think it's going to continue back at least up to the top of the flag here, and then probably chop around for a little bit longer. And then Rose would be the other one that I've been looking at as well. Really nice reclaim of the previous lows from last cycle, right? And then pushing up higher at the moment. It probably wants to come back up and retest the high from this automatic rally back here. But I don't know if this one's going to get out just as easy. Might have a few more pullbacks to go, because you can see that some of the other ones, they've already come up and retested this high multiple times. So we'll have to see how that one plays out. But that's pretty much it from me, guys. Probably the other one I have been sort of looking at as well as data. There's a few other coins that have like this longer sort of falling wedge accumulation range, which is sort of a downside accumulation range. So yeah, keep your eyes on those ones as well. I don't think they're as desirable, to be honest, as the flat ones, unless you got in really low. You sort of needed to get in on the break of like this trend line, which isn't really a great one, but so it makes it a little bit harder to get into, to be honest. Potentially get in on the falling wedge, which is one trade that we did take a while ago, but it's just been chopping up ever since. So it's not the cleanest. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Solana is still below its previous range low. So once that reclaims this level, it's going to be absolutely massive. Not sure if it's going to do that just too soon or not, but this just looks like the flag pattern that a lot of the other altcoins are in. And they're probably just waiting for Bitcoin to see if Bitcoin is going to break out of its flag pattern, because it's sort of similar, right? Bitcoin sort of went through that It's a little bit of one of the flat ones, but also, you know, the falling wedge type setup as well, right? You know, so it's sort of just waiting to see if Bitcoin does break out and push to 30K. Potentially it could go all the way to 32 on that run as well. It depends how long it builds up out here. I would prefer if it came back and filled this CME gap and, you know, take a little bit longer and then run again. But maybe I'm just getting greedy because I want to buy more Bitcoin lower around 20K. So yeah, that's pretty much it for me, guys. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you all in the next update.